Hello, this is about World Trade Center attack memory narratives and roles with online policing interbranch with their uses of their Facebook pages and the Facebook pages of the campuses involved also with agencies and with and courts with the organized crime uses of the locations of Weathersfield Police Department, of other police departments, other stewards retired and standing, other uses of their integrity, of their identities. For example, in relationship to the World Trade Center, where they have private agreements that you can't defend us at the same time. Simultaneously, where they don't have enough jobs at the same time, not by accident. They don't have jobs worthy enough, not by accident. They don't have anyone who could afford individually grouped or together anything other than the pathology of homes from the tactically denatured base pathology of them. For example, metaphorically, we're through this definition of it since before. So we have the homes since before our founders were born. There were laws against building any other since before cars. The means to them, the live progressions in relationship to nature's identity of relation to itself, which is only debatable because free speech has not been permitted with science at the same time. Because we have each identity of the ground location from off it, originally and still, further and further, all stewards of on these all locations, all database relationships, all science relationships, further and further involved with a method that keeps live progressions from those locations onto and as the value of all value streams, all locations, areas, and states, all along all roads, routes, and highways. Geographical differentiation, relationship to perspective, gotten over on originally and still per this method that used everyone remote. Since before electronic definitions of that, this is what slavery is about. This is what is forced. This is not about the force. This is about what is forced, specifically to cause what can't help but be forced. What's forced by nature and by its nature of relationship to itself, and by the value of that is positive or negative in relationship to it. Its identity of relation to itself, that we no longer are modern nations, semi-ancient trap to have that defended. Only then your roles within as an identity of negative value nature progression, as modern nations are, need to blame the real causes of negative value nature progression's acts and natures caused by nature itself, demonstrating criminally foreign influence sciences, therefore standing criminal and seditious natures. Self-valued by everyone roles, victim predators, styles of liars needing to pretend integrity by doing such things. Self-valuing titles that were each identity the ground location, like FBI offices in New Haven, Chicago. Criminally foreign influence delusions wrought. Used from off those campuses, off those locations originally and still. Their roles with the transition from Aka to Rico and from Rica to Aka. From Aka to Rico, and their roles in within transition into in the development of the Department of Homeland Security. Both parties, Connecticut involved. The victim predators with the branches of government each individually grouped and together crime predators. Worse than crime predators. They have the words crime used criminally by themselves. Sequence predators. Roles with everything bad that goes on with areas. Excuse me. The people involved with this, a bunch of people I barely know at all, associated with the same house and with their extended family members, with various natures of courts and their family members, with all kinds of predicate acts methods, and roles with on off campuses sequence shifts. that are connected to crime methods they have distinct to each age of factory nature's campus, regardless of the type. They even have with how they have people fighting about what school's better for their kids. This is tactically differentially sick education originally still. They not only didn't let some people not read, they had everyone else reading crazy things consciously, willfully, through other motivations, other nature's roles, pretending to be against all that's in that simultaneously, breaching screens, only capable of being pseudo patriotism natures, breaching patriotism screen, fake, all locations, areas, and states, every modern nation. And the truth is native pure. Science would have revealed this. Science reveals more. Oh, because they're monetary. They can't do monetary because of their roles with already with abuses of each age of factory nature. Within as a sick nature, each identity of branch, each identity of justification of each branch as recorded actually. Now, see, these are people involved with an Anthony Agnon and with his brothers and with his family and with people on his street next to the on the southern side, the southern entrance where the buses show up of Weathersfield High School with two Mendez police, also on off Weathersfield Police Department. Recorded, I never had a conversation with that Oval police brother. Him and his brother attached me to fake locations. Their roles with these judges. Families from other towns associated with the Facebook pages of campuses in my town, with family members associated with foreign and domestic families on and off Fox Connecticut News, on and off downtown clubs. A whole pattern of people involved with human trafficking acts with WFSB, with Fox Connecticut News, WTNH, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with them with each side of Weathersfield High School and of the Saustine Middle School, involved with crimes with kids and with databases and with various natures of drugs crimes, various natures of gun crimes, knife crimes, mail crimes, wire crimes, motivations for it, roles with it. They have nothing to do with the other nations involved with them. They have nothing to do with the rights they have to commit crimes like that. But they do it, they exploited exceptions and they exploit exception nature. And this is what psychology has been doing. Not a doctor. They're recorded delusions raw, criminally foreign influence, forging names, switching names with various natures of courts involved with various natures of child abuse with them and racketeering with overt criminal enterprises and with other nations, then with them needing to pretend they have integrity when other is recorded online in conjunction with their motivations. Again, with juxtaposed natures, tactically juxtaposed natures of abuses of kids, as the people with fake care for them too already. They forced this sustained. Not one has trained. So New Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts, they also had this involved with their roles leading up to the Trade Center attack for years. And then shortly before, they post-dated documents insidiously from inside the Ninth Circuit, Manhattan, the one right next to the World Trade Center attack, the World Trade Center towers, right before they were taken out. Post-dated documents had been shown to a panel of judges. That was proven. That led up to a 2006 case with former director of the FBI, with Thaddeus Grabowski as his co-defendant. One of his co-defendants criminally involved with people involved with predicate acts against me, including officers like two Mendez police brothers, two Domain police brothers. There are people associated with them on Fox Connecticut News, right outside their building. Alison Mulcahy, I don't know her sister's name. Never had a conversation, never had was around them. Was recorded, confessed, demonstrated involved with them also, with prosecutors and with judges, with a CM Faglione family. Also recorded, confessed, demonstrated involved with the Leahy family. with the Shagman family also. And so these are people involved with CCSU, also with an O'Brien family, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with them with database racketeering, serious sequence crimes, worse than this, worse than racketeering, child abuses, worse with and with their roles with people on the sex offender registry and their crimes with the doctors of and the prison stewards of them and with the campuses that train them and with the live progressions of New Britain Superior Court and Hartford Courts tied to their uses on and off CCSU, on and off Trinity College, on and off Wesleyan, leading up to and since the World Trade Center attack, on and off Vermont campuses, on and off Middlesex, all of the campuses. So they're using the identities of the ground locations. Now they have the identity of everyone on it. They don't even know former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. And the ones who may actually know him are involved criminally. Also with his private lawyer, Robert Chevrolet. Also with that street, Value Stream, Farmington Avenue, with Harriet Beecher Stowe house, Mark Twain's house. Also with their value treatments of Mark Twain and of Harriet Beecher Stowe in relationship to Uncle Tom, because you're all Uncle Toms, literally, because you all have prevented free speech and truth not denying exceptions, not valuing them denied. Because if you didn't do that, then you would have evolution right now. You'd have revealed the actually recorded criminally foreign influence identity ground relationships, zoning laws, victims to it that are forced roles but victim predators. Oh, so what's the solution? The solution is right there. Admit it. That's relief or that's means to admit. Worse than a war zone. The war's over. Don't keep it going. Win the revolution, which is our course. George Washington chopped down fake branches in Connecticut, had to come here with the French general to semi-counter extort them, to force them to rolls, which everyone was afraid of, because everyone was used remotely. Again, since before computer definitions of it in a relationship to so many sick database relationships, everyone had designed to keep everyone engineered as fact cheaping nature, blaming other things, others themselves. So Santa's elves retreat, but stay. So the lead, return. Forgiveness is to return to this method of science by the identity of value progression that is actually true always, not denying the slightest exception to the order of the finite, sequence true before, while being as the identity of sequence, the nature, the identity as the value of the order of the finite. This is where value has its ties to our quality of fact cheaping nature as identity nature. This is where the value of the order toward its active quality of fact cheaping nature, quality of diffusion, is positive or negative. In relationship to this system, though, not to some identity, the ground locations, training, what they call it, in reactions to all that is actually manifest and how and why, actually. So we have evidence perception, intersciences, the process of it described through criminal foreign influence, self-valued by other sciences, by other positions, by people with areas everywhere. All locations, areas, states, our each age of fact should be that your victims prevented our actual means. The proper answers to the questions of our nations each. See breach. Now one must teach. So youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall. My name is Anthony Wall. This is Romulus Science. The republic for which we stand, it stands abreached. Not one has teached. The Constitution stands abridged. Okay, thank you for coming out this evening. And remember, so if anyone just comment who wants their location represented or who will just and then we'll do videos on it. More and more people will go for the plan we're going to put in place, commonly owned as means stacked upon too, because we're just going to take over artistic reliefs, and the process of it reveals real reliefs. It reveals that and how our branches of government will effectively maintain victims of victim predator tools used remotely. Again, in relation to databases further and further, but further and further to all identity ground locations, already having known that was going to be the outcome and stay the outcome. So there are also houses on all sides of the high school. Note the wintergreen woods is a buffer between some of the high schools, some of the schools. And it also brings in the involvement of another child campus, involved further with all the campuses of each age and fact treatment nature. And age and fact treatment nature, and nature of campus in town, recorded in time, through time, effectively involved with a bonded method that effectively has been bonding a whole bunch of other nature's needs, interests to lie. Not legitimately for undercover shared, also in relationship to the relationship of business treatments, peaceful, that were are used effectively originally still to maintain breaching entrenchment positions like roles with policing of West Farms Mall, their roles with agencies, with WFSB, with Fox Connecticut News, WTNH, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with programs inter colleges and universities involved with vertical and horizontal racketeering on and off, worse than this, on and off child campuses with connections to other campuses too, with the people involved, with the extended family members of my houses in my area, further involved through time with predicate acts roles with forensics locations and body dumping spots, overtly criminal and legalized ones criminally. Like a whole bunch of people associated with a Kevin Dillon, Sean Dillon, Anna Dillon, a whole bunch of people associated with the Kerr family, with the name KNER, a a prosecutor named Soulsby, one with the name Brian Silver, reportedly confessed and demonstrated by people tied to them, involved with also male and female prosecutors and state's attorneys and victims advocates involved with human trafficking, predicate acts with child offense, about juxtaposed natures of child abuses, predicate acts with overt criminal enterprises, juxtaposed nations into the various nations' criminal enterprises, roles and uses of them, effectively recorded originally and still keeping predicate acts countered by them blaming groups wrong as themselves roles with that which actually keeps the overt criminal enterprises kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, finite lies, active lies, progressive lies, and identity thefts, frauds, and worse than just identity racketeering lies with the branches of government, with their psychologists who thinks for them. Now, these are people, these psychologists are involved with various natures of courts at once, involved with all kinds of thefts of intellectual property rights because their crime methods are uses of their locations to pretend things recorded into databases to affect the wrong outcomes in cases tied to and as their roles with the crimes before they happen, with the most evil things stayed manifest with areas that was used to keep them remote. They have to hide life progressions from whoever becomes leaders. They have to force the leaders to entertain them, force relied on, in relationship to hundreds of other nations punishing each other at the same time. And what is maintained fluent, overtly and insidiously, simultaneously, is also unchallenged, is also self valued, having originally still been all it causes self value blamed on other things other than self, and that's self value. So they bring up terms like prison industrial complex. They bring up terms like the deep state that are semi halfway because we have misprision groups trying to pretend they're against and concerned about things that they are not really concerned about and that they are not really against simultaneously. Each individual, each group difference, and all together, each branch. And then each branch, the branches grouped and together. They have whole methods of how they hide, how they are overt predators, the same way the overt criminal enterprises are. And the witness protection program stewards kept needing to hide the same lie progressions with the same houses used by Wethersfield police and by New Britain court and by Hartford courts and by their family members involved with it and with their extended family members, with a pattern between the schools, like this house of the Yagman family, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with others also on his street, involved identity thefts, fake conversations with me, sequence shifts with them, roles with courts, with crimes through kids, with their prosecutors and with their judges and with their police forms and their family members. Now, also, Mike Pandoff is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated down the road from him. Also involved with depositions, involved with prosecutors in courts, criminally involved with them, and with names like a McCord name, and people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a DeMoro family, and people all along with the state judicial branch offices. Goes from across the bridge, past the judicial branch offices, right through Wethersfield, and then that spot right there where the Arch Pizza used to be, the place across the street, involved with foreign and domestic, the three places around there. I forgot the names of people. A Kerr family also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. There's a Donahue family. I never had a conversation with her. And there's a Erica Donahue associated with other people, dozens of people at New Britain, at Central Connecticut State University and at Trinity College and other campuses involved with predicate acts with them, interstates too. Middlesex Community College is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with databases racketeering with judges and with interbranch uses of a DeMorrow family, with military families, foreign and domestic, overt criminal enterprises, his roles with his neighbors on his street, and the DeMorrow, the Kerr family. Also, a house in the corner of their street, further involved with a black car, and with the on off the fire departments involved, and the sensibilities of them with Russian families, also with Ukrainian families, also as the people involved with CNN pretending passions and emotions with them, and people exploiting their passions and emotions when they're preventing mandated law, with the courts criminally involved, leading up to outside of the courts. The courts are involved with the people associated with the courts, everything who work there. They're involved with crimes of police equipment and with databases related to areas of what goes on. They're putting fake things into databases. They're sequence shifting with areas, forging names, switching names roles, making confessions roles out of sequence, pretending they're sequence, pretending people to fake locations. We have them forging names, switching names too, because then you have no response. If you try to make a response, they have an adaptation. They adapt because there are already thousands of people involved with them through time. That's what happens when you have this originally still left so sick. It's not racism. No one want that. No one knows what to think or do because they're victims of intercampuses of each age and nature. Doesn't matter if they're private. The private schools, kids are involved. I don't know them now as adults, but their families are involved also with this Yagman family, with other houses and people that actually did go to my school. I had one class with him, algebra, on on the eastern side of the school. Also recorded and confessed and demonstrated with a Mike Demain, who also demonstrated his brother and family involved with him. With it also recorded and confessed and demonstrated by actually recorded and by a Mayano family, also involved insidiously and overtly with sequence shifts with them and with a whole bunch of people with prosecutors retired and standing with New Britain Superior Court, with Hartford courts, and with crime with kids and with Central Connecticut State University. Uses of the coaches for a racketeering method, worse than racketeering method, medical racketeering, worse than that, identity thefts, worse than that, and identity frauds. So there are two Mendez police on off the Wethersfield Police Department, on off New Britain Superior Court. Also recorded and confessed and demonstrated with a whole bunch of other people, with the extended family members, like a Scalora family and a Phil Colo. Also recorded and confessed and demonstrated crimes with CCSU and with the World Trade Center, and with uses their roles with uses of Saudi families, with all these other nations involved on off Central Connecticut State University with the predicate acts, falsified police reports, identity thefts, sexual harassment, sexual abuses of each age of boys and girls, roles like a Detective Samuda, pretended he was an arrested officer of me, switched his identity with the um, Officer Magnanos. He's also rolls with them with Interbranch, lying about what is actually recorded over Facebook, and then putting Facebook before Congress. Sequence shifting, making the sequence shifts self-valued, as their roles with these people, also with predicate acts, with people leading up to and in the World Trade Center attack context associated with wrongdoing tied to it, like sequence shifts presented to the panel of judges in the Ninth Circuit Court, right next to the World Trade Center towers, right before they were taken out and leading up to that. As people involved with this insidiously since they were kids, confessions out of nowhere, all exceptions, like I go on a ski trip with people you don't know. Make it look like you were in places with them before that. Play stupid. So when they go into the courts, they pretend things out of sequence. They pretend to perceive things wrong. They're making things up with these people. Now they have all on off to Town Line Drive and all along the Southstein Highway, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by a whole bunch of people with the name Demaro, also involved with state police and with judges through time, with the cliques that are I only know from confessions briefly. On off also with people tied to them, on off Central Connecticut State University, involved with crime methods where they pretend to know people, as is reported standard, for how they, for example, they walked up to a guy they reportedly put in jail, one of the jails involved with sexually themed and medical crimes on off campuses, and with medical houses also on off campuses. intercities tied like child campuses near Trinity College, and like the fire department next to them, and like houses next to them that are Aiello family, and that are Fred Grouze also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated was involved with them, with crimes, with my town's police chief, with child abuses, and with crimes with databases and drugs with the kids when I was in high school, and with people that went to my middle school that were involved with identity thefts, rule attaching me to fake locations with them, like these two Mendes police. I never had a class with them, never hung out with them, don't know anything about them except for that they have roles with also KKK themed, Confederate flag themed people involved with predicate acts and predicate acts methods, and also with next to churches, like and military police with that, with fake law, and with the clicks, with the confessions and demonstrations. And the Britain Superior Court knows this is what they communicate too. Just because people they go, oh well, just prove if you're not in it, if you're innocent. They're using things like that. They're charging innocent people and putting fake things into databases and stacking that up. Now, so these two Mendes police and the main police are recorded with a whole bunch of other people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Thaddeus Skrowski also demonstrated involved with the parking garage next to Fox Connecticut News with them criminally, and with the buildings, people involved with the buildings next to them with agencies and with medical racketeering, with the various natures of courts, again, their family members and the prosecutors, all the positions with the courts. So they need to pretend people are making allegations by preventing people from having the sequence shifts countered, their falsified police reports. Even though that I'm not being charged, but I have charges against me. They made a whole bunch of charges against me since I was a kid, stacking falsified police reports. They are forcing sustained abuses of kids. I caught them actually recorded with and online, Facebook. KNERR is one of the names involved with New Britain Superior Court, with racketeering, with a principal sex offender, and with policing intercities, foreign and domestic. These are people with overt criminal enterprises of juxtaposed names or whatever associated with also them police pretend to be against crime pattern they have proven with them, and ones that are further recorded with them through time with the pattern of them pretending to be against crimes with overt criminal enterprises, and them pretending people are involved with those criminal enterprises in a way they're not, while they are at the same time, like a Joshua Julian with Coast Guard people, with Coast Guard men and women and families, with people all on Church Street, and with the house slash S with their extended family members, like a Scalora family, and like a Phil Collo with two Mendes police, a whole bunch of other police recorded involved with predicate acts with them, forging names, switching names, threatening women, threatening little kids, fake care for them too, sickly. This is juxtaposed on and off campus is exploited because they're pretending things in databases at the same time. They're investing parents like of medical families and people associated with their drug cliques as the people are supposed to be against that stuff. They're overtly they make confessions about that stuff too, because those are people that are involved with their narratives where they're attaching little kids to fake locations, their family members to fake locations, their family members to fake also people with some guy repeated from San Juan Center influenced. It was demonstrated. He was influenced to say to attach my father to a fake location, or say that about Rhode Island. These are people with boxing gyms in Connecticut, with the Connecticut USA boxing guy Manchester Pal is involved with his daughter, and with a whole bunch of people, with CCSU, with other gyms in Connecticut, other businesses, insurance companies, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, his lawyer, federal criminal ties to them, a whole bunch of people ties to this, Claudia Scalora, also with Central Connecticut Predicate Acts roles, with the house on my street, and her roles with uses of Saudis they don't realize, as her roles with overt criminal enterprises and with Joe DeMauro, with other Weathersfield police. She told one of the Saudis that she had sex with her cousin named Joe DeMauro, who's one of the close friends of the guy of the Cololo family, with the Phil Cololo and the Scalora, also Sabi Scalora, people associated with them, with abuses of girls, and with judges' family members, interstates, intercities, intercampuses of each age and nature. There's the Morrow family, the Della Fera family also recorded, confessed, involved with WTNH, with agencies, with WFSB, on our third location, W Fox Connecticut News. Now, Thaddeus Grabowski, John LeConch, and another guy who was in prison. I forgot his name. They're also involved with a whole bunch of people on each sides of the camp of Weathersfield High School, and on further on off the South Stream Middle School, other child campuses in town, as one's intercities with this. I forgot what other point, but there are a lot of points tied to that. Now, the person who was reportedly found untimely death in Wintergreen Woods, the other untimely deaths tied to their roles with the Green Woods, also with a Walters family, who also went to private schools, and he's also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved. Well, I barely know him. He's involved with courts that attach me to fake locations and other kids. Now, see, we should have cleaned this up a long time ago. You guys aren't preventing Mandated law. You guys are preventing counters to falsified police reports and crime methods with them, with various police from East Hartford, Weathersfield, New Britain, in collusion, and Hartford courts, and Hartford police, in collusion also with FBI, former director of the FBI, other agencies. So the Scalora family is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with other natures of racketeering, with proven child sex offenders and family members, also further crimes with doctors and with patients, with their patients and criminals before they got caught, as ones that forged names, switched names, fake hold conversations with me that weren't at all, and about agencies, and about police equipment, and about cases that they have recorded predicate acts roles with the federal criminals in it, and they pretend I had conversations with them about it, like a Leahy family, a Dr. Brendan Leahy, his son. Never had a word of conversation with his son. Put a database, put a clipboard next to me, made a face, like I had made no statement. Now these are people that pretended I yelled too at women there. We're working with him. He has women in their family too, both of them. His son does, with the same name as his father, involved with Hartford Triage and with the Institute of Living, founded in 1822 with slavery still in North America. No, so George Washington didn't want that left here. George Washington, he could tell no lies. He had to chop down the fake branches here, but he had to leave them up too, huh? The branches of government, that means the executive branch, that means police forms like FBI, CIA, Homeland Security. Oh, we work for the president. All those things. They have to care for them, or they're vicious beasts. They're writhing beasts anyways. These are locations, areas, states, sciences at the same time. all private database relationships. In collusion kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, finite lies, active lies, and progressive lies with overt criminal enterprises. So the body dumping spots reported of Billy Grasso are also recorded and confessed involved with a Faenza family that confessed and recorded the real body dumping spot was next to their tile business. That is also recorded and confessed with another pattern of people associated with like a trophy place near there, and with the UPS, also with an Oliveri family, also recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved with the interbranch New Britain Superior Court uses of their Facebook page for crimes with the houses in my area and on my street, and tied to them with their family members as such, with sexual and with medical and with judicial and with executive abuses of kids and with other private involved with it, and their roles around locations. These are also houses on Two Rod Highway and off Two Rod Highway, involved with sequence shifts, with confessions for as strangers for out of nowhere. All exceptions recorded criminally for an influence, all but whole groups involved with sequence shifts. I never knew who Maria Fazina was till after she graduated high school, by the way. And the only conversation I ever had with Steven Stocko was over the phone. And that's him recorded involved with the wire crimes and mail crimes of the courts and the police involved with him. But I don't know how to counter it. You can't just eh, you know you have to counter the police here, coaching them to hide their life progressions with their neighbors, with juxtaposed natures of child abuses, racketeering, identity thefts, frauds, roles, media predicate acts, roles with the influences of them, roles with them preventing mandated law, so they can pretend things are debatable that are not. So respond for them. Because Weathersfield police also with juxtaposed more natures, juxtaposed real sick natures, and roles and uses of this Scalora family and of the Mendez police and of the Phil Cololo involved with the identity thefts and with the Joshua Julian and the Joshua Stryker and other people involved with predicate acts with doctors and with forensics locations that were also involved with the transition from Mako to Rico, which also involved FBI crimes with other nations and overt criminal enterprises with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso, with the same people involved with the same with the witness protection program tied to the houses near me too. Also tied to the Weathersfield Police criminal uses of them. There's an officer Jerry Miller, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by people within the Britain Superior Court involved with racketeering with them, with Officer Jerry Miller and with the Kerr family. They also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering with the Kerr family. Also demonstrated this true, pretending other by pretending things were in content behind people's backs and backgrounds as people involved with other private school kids, and people that did part to part private school, and then they switched public school. Rolls with my town police chief's daughter. A whole bunch of people confessed and recorded rolls with her. I don't know what they're talking about. I never had a class with her. Never had anything to do with her. Her father's involved also with the principal child defenders campus. There was more. Were more police involved. The Britain Superior Court and doctors involved, recorded involved by his own police and other police people associated with them, and his foreign and domestic extended family members. Also with the DACA used criminally by them, shared policing of locations, their roles with on-off Central Connecticut State University, on-off parks near there, criminally, with their roles with the Facebook crimes criminally too, as people involved with uses of West Farms Mall for insidious things demonstrated. Other Buckland Hill Mall, the worthless. What our president's chiefs are forced to call other. And where it's not worthless, it's all wasted. It never. So was it Grant or you said we didn't see there was one time that war couldn't be avoided? Of course, it couldn't be avoided. Everyone goes down. Why would we stay up, pretending, oh, it's economic? But evolution works with the ground. Evolution works with what is native pure, the identity of relativity, actually. Then theory off that. So go get my bat. Did a Michael Kerr and a Jerry Kerr and his son Jerry Kerr also confirmed. The only context I know them in that they're involved with New Britain Superior Court predicate acts with retired and standing judges, with retired and standing prosecutors, like a Soulsby, like a Brian Silver, like a Christine Bedard or Tordet, and her as a victim role, now as a predator, associated with her roles with database racketeering, that worse than racketeering that John Mayana was involved with when I was in high school, and that they involved her with. That involved drugs, and they didn't do their job right because they're also influenced by the police chief through time, involved with the same houses and their ties to now thousands of people, probably invested, demonstrably with the sensibilities of people. You know, this is how you have to counter the courts and the police forms together because they hold the sensibilities of everyone while they're lying in the background, preventing mandated law. They're to describe them, you have to describe with all the fake people. They attach me to fake locations. They attach little kids to fake locations. They attach my family members to fake locations, fake words, fake sequence relationships, fake natures of relationships to other people, fake relationships to other people like this Joshua Julian, also having pretended my family was involved with a criminal enterprise that was associated with the job sites my father worked on through construction. Now he's involved with those actual with the family, with the child sex offenders, with forensics location, with courts and with prosecutors and with judges and doctors and medical families, foreign and domestic, crimes with their patients and criminals before they got caught, and since. Now, have them respond because they have physical delusions too. These people, they have crime methods with mail and wire crime with their line or through the mail and wire and about what's online and or over the internet. I want to phrase it. I don't know if America Online made up online. So we have each age of fact, human nature being divided, so they can keep correlation nature divided. Experience was supposed to show the ground in its evolution's course and what it was gaining or losing to the kids. And the kids are supposed to stay about making it come back to gain evolution's fruits and gifts. So follow mandated law for Connecticut interbranch. They know that this is true. They could pretend other, let them take a position. When I went to court, they forged names, switched names. Confessed that she switched her name with the other girl. How do you forget your name and call yourself and know someone else when asked your name? Now, these are people who made the confessions about their roles with the East Hartford police. There are also other people tied to their confessions with other East Hartford police from other nations. Their roles with locations on off where they make airplanes. How much people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated that their involvements was with strippers and with male and female police forms on off Trinity College, on off Central Connecticut State University, also with the UPS, and with those locations and their relationships to the shared policing of apartment buildings, like on Covington Street, recorded and confessed. If they were influenced to say things out of sequence other than they had said before that. Now these are people that recorded, confessed, and involved with predicate acts with and cover-ups of predicate acts with people leading up to and in the World Trade Center attack context, and with people leading up to and in a 2006 district court case with former director of the FBI as a federal criminal co-defendant and his lawyer, Robert Chevrolet, his personal lawyer. Robert Luskin used to be standing chairperson on Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. And now he's the one with the federal criminal code defendants like Thaddeus Grabowski, and with all these ties to the house in my area. I have people I never saw in my area recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with human trafficking with the courts, with WFSB. Again, attach me to fake locations. So get me response someone, and you'll see Renaissance. I'll show you how you've been how the courts have been using each identity, the ground, location, area, and state through how they've been used. I'll show you how they've been used remotely, how they are only capable of writhing before correlations means one way redeems. You sweep them clear, it means appear. You find the seed.